The world's most famous revolutionary became a ghost overnight. In the spring of 1965, Cuba's Minister of Industries, Ernesto Che Guevara, vanished from the streets of Havana. CIA reports claimed he was assassinated. Soviet intelligence whispered that Fidel Castro had purged his greatest rival. But in Havana, the people had only one question: where is El Che? 6 years have passed since the Cuban Revolution. Victory songs still echo through the streets. Yet, the revolution's most iconic figure, El Che, disappears. Rumors spread. Is he dead? Did he have a falling out with Fidel? Was he imprisoned? For 6 months, these questions went unanswered. Until the night of October 3rd, 1965. The 6-month-long silence was finally broken in a Havana theater by a single piece of paper read with a trembling voice. What was read that night was not just a resignation letter. It was a soul's declaration of freedom. The date, October 3rd, 1965. The place, the Chaplin Theater in Havana. Fidel Castro stood at the podium to announce the first Central Committee of the Communist Party of Cuba to the world. His brother Raúl was on the list. Every commander of the revolution was there. But one name was missing. A name that made thousands in the hall hold their breath. Che Guevara. This is the testament of a man who cast aside his ministerial seat, his rank as commander, and even his Cuban citizenship. A man who chose an uncertain death over the comfort of power. Let us listen to those soul-shaking lines from Che's farewell letter. Fidel, I remember many things now. That first night we met at Maria Antonia's house. Your invitation for me to come to Cuba, and all the hardships we faced during the preparations. One day, we were told about the possibility of death. And we learned the reality of that possibility in the Sierra Maestra. In a revolution, if it is a true one either wins or dies. Many of our comrades fell on the road to victory, but we survived. I feel that I have fulfilled my duty on Cuban soil. For this reason, I say farewell to you, to my positions in the party, to my post as minister, and to my rank as commander. I formally renounce my Cuban citizenship. Legally, no ties remain that bind me to Cuba. Only bonds of another kind remain. Bonds too deep to be severed by pieces of paper. Looking back, I believe I have worked with enough dedication and trust to consolidate the revolution. My only failure was not trusting you more in our first moments in the Sierra Maestra, and not recognizing your qualities as a leader sooner. I have seen every moment of my life as a part of the Cuban Revolution. Wherever I go, I will carry the responsibility of being a Cuban revolutionary upon my shoulders. Fidel, other lands of the world are waiting for my modest efforts. I can do what your responsibility to Cuba does not permit you to do. The time has come for us to part. I want you to know that I do this with a mixture of both pain and joy. Here I leave the purest of my constructive hopes and the most beloved of my beings. And I leave behind a people who accepted me as their own child. This tears a piece away from my soul. In new battlefields, I will carry the faith you instilled in me, the revolutionary spirit of my people, and the feeling of having fulfilled one's duty. Wherever imperialism may be, I will fight against it. And finally, I leave nothing material for my wife and children. And I am not saddened by this. On the contrary, I am happy it is this way. I ask nothing from the state for them, because I know the state will provide them with what they need to live and be educated. I have much to say, but words have no meaning anymore. It is not worth scribbling more on paper. Ever onward to victory. Hasta la victoria siempre. Homeland or death. I embrace you with all my revolutionary fervor.
When the letter ended, there wasn't a sound in the hall. Che had cast aside his seat as the Minister of Industries, his membership in the Central Committee, and his diplomatic passport. With nothing but a backpack, he had gone to Congo and then to the mountains of Bolivia to ignite a new fire. Historians still debate, did Che leave Fidel, or did Fidel sacrifice Che for the survival of the revolution? Che used to say, "A revolutionary dies if he sits in a chair." Instead of growing old in a ministerial seat, he chose to be executed at the age of 39 in a dusty schoolhouse, creating his own legend.
It is said that Fidel's voice trembled as he read the letter. These two men had changed the fate of a nation. Yet one chose to build a state, while the other chose to change the world. Which do you think was harder, to build or to leave it all behind at the very peak? When Che was captured in Bolivia 2 years later, he still had notes and letters in his pockets. But none of them shook the world as much as this farewell to Fidel. History writes the winners. Unstamped Letters tells the stories of those who felt the struggle. In your opinion, should Che Guevara have stayed in Cuba and grown old as a statesman? Or did he do the right thing by marching toward death for the sake of his ideals? Let's meet in the comments. Until we meet in the next letter, in another hidden chamber of history.